Hi guys, my name is Nobu Kumalo. Welcome to my channel if it's your first time, and welcome back if you've been here before. Listen, before we go any further, if you check the number of subscribers on this channel, we're on 472 at the time that I was recording this. We're on 472. Please check that you subscribe to the channel, and please click the subscribe button below if you're not subscribed as yet. Let's help the channel grow. Let's reach 500,000 subscribers. Send to your people, send to your friends, your colleagues, your family, everyone, and let this channel grow. I do hope that I bring some value into your lives, and that if I do bring value into your lives, you'll want to share it with your loved ones. When I'm deciding what I'm going to talk about in a particular video, I like to think about things that I am going through, and I like to think about what I would want to hear someone say to me, right? So if I'm in a situation, I like to think about what I wish someone else could tell me to make me feel better about the situation that I'm in. And so because of that, today I want to talk about, trust in God, right? Trust beyond borders, trusting beyond knowing. For the longest time, I've had this mantra, which is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6, which say, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. This verse has been in my heart and has been engraved in my heart for such a very long time, and it's generally when I think about life, about anything, even at my highest, at my lowest, this is the verse that I go to. But I was reflecting, because right now I'm going through a process of uncertainty, a time when I'm not quite sure what the future really holds for me, right? I have a lot of questions and I have a lot of decisions that I need to make. And, I found myself trying by all means to figure things out myself, trying to make those decisions myself, trying to figure out what the future looks like. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute. How are you trying to figure things out on your own when you've got this mantra that says trust in the Lord with all your heart, right? You didn't bring yourself this far. You had no power, you had no means at all to bring yourself to the place that you're at right now. And yet now that you are going through this time when you have to make decisions about what lies ahead, suddenly you think that you know what the future holds. Suddenly you think you can solve things for yourself, and so I took a moment to laugh at myself about that, about how I trusted God for him to bring me this far. But suddenly when I'm facing challenges, not even challenges, when I need to make sense of the future, I have forgotten to go back to the person who brought me here, the person who saw the future from the past at that time, and I'm not trying to figure things out for myself. And I thought back even to the children of Israel, how God brought them out of the land of Egypt, right? After many years of being slaves in Egypt, God in his goodness and mercy brings them out of Egypt, and he has this plan for them about how they're going to reach the promised land. And obviously it takes them through the desert. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but he takes them through the desert, and there are countless times where they complain about not having meat. They complain about everything, like the smallest of inconveniences. They would complain, and they would say, oh, we miss those days when we're back in Egypt and we had plenty of this to eat. Like, they were constantly doubting and complaining. And I remember even there's a time when Moses went up to speak to God, and by the time he came back, they had made idols for themselves, and they were worshiping these idols, and they had forgotten who brought them out of the land of Egypt. They had forgotten how far the Lord had brought them, and the Bible even says that throughout their journey, they always had like a pillar of fire at night and the cloud by the day, to protect them from the weather elements. And so in my head, they still had the pillar of fire and the cloud over them, even at the time when they were doubting. So they failed to just look up and see, okay, there's a cloud here because God is here. God is with us. He's in our presence in the situation that we're facing. At night, they failed to look at the fire and be like, God's presence is here. God's warmth is here, and he's guiding us. They would quickly forget how far the Lord had brought them, and they would murmur and complain and wish that they were back, in the land where they were. So they're close to the promised land, right? And then they send spies to go and suss out the place to see if the place is good to be inhabited, right? And the spies come back with big grapes and all that, and they say, oh, there's milk and honey, there's grapes, there's all the good things. And the people rejoice and they're happy and say, yay, the land is great. And then the spies say, but the people, they are giants, they are humongous. There's no way we can enter that place unscathed. There's absolutely no way we're gonna make it in there alive. If we make it in there alive, we would have lost a number of us. And immediately the mood changes. Immediately they start saying, oh Lord, how could you bring us this far only to leave us? How can you bring us to the door of the promised land only for there to be giants inside? How are we going to get in there? And how quickly they'd forgotten that literally they had been faced with a situation like that before, where Pharaoh's army was coming behind them and there was a Red Sea in front of them. And if God could part the Red Sea for them to walk through and make it to the other side and close and shut the Red Sea on Pharaoh's army, what more mere mortals that were created by God, right? Like, what were giants in the face of a whole sea which was parted, right? And when I was reading some commentary on this particular part about, when they started doubting after they saw the giant, commentary says this, right? Now the scene changed. Hope and courage gave place to cowardly despair, as the spies uttered the sentiments of their unbelieving hearts, which were filled with discouragement prompted by Satan. Their unbelief cast a gloomy shadow over the congregation, and the mighty power of God, which was so often manifested on behalf of the chosen nation, was quickly forgotten. The people did not wait to reflect. They did not reason that he who had brought them thus far would certainly give them the land. They did not call to mind how wonderfully God had delivered them from their oppressors, cutting a path through the sea and destroying pursuing hosts of Pharaoh. They left God out of the question and acted as though they must depend solely on the power of their arms. In their unbelief, they limited the power of God and distrusted the hand that had safely guided them so far. And they repeated their former error of murmuring against Moses and Aaron. I was reflecting about how quickly we forget, right? And even on the times when we kneel down and we pray, right? We say, okay, fine, the situation is not in my hands. I'm gonna take it to the Lord in prayer. We take it to the Lord in prayer, and we partially lay it at His feet. So we trust God, but on the side we're trying to come up with a backup plan just in case God doesn't come through. Right? So we go through the motions and we do the religious things of praying and fasting, but also on the side we are busy trying to come up with plan B. Sometimes when we've prayed, okay, and we've laid it at His feet, and even when we haven't come up with backup plan, and then God brings a plan. So in the case of the Israelites, God brought down the manna, which was evidence that God has the ability to take care of them as He had been doing in the past. But even then, God told them that I'll bring down the manna. Just take what you need for today. It will be back again tomorrow. And then only on Sabbath should you take enough for, the day and Sabbath. But what did the children of Israel do? When God sent the manna, they were like, we see you, God, you brought the manna, but we don't trust that it's going to come tomorrow. What if you don't bring it back tomorrow? And so what did they do? They took manna for the day and even more for other days, and we all know what happened, right? Like the next day it had rotten and the whole land was stinking because the manna was rotten. So it's like countless times God is always proving Himself to us that you can trust me, right? That I know what I'm doing. And in Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11, He even says, I know the plans that I have for you. Just relax. I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you, And yet, even when He shows us, it's not even an issue of the lack of evidence. We do have evidence of the fact that God has the power to change our situation, because He's the one who has led us this far, right? And yet still, we fail to trust that He will take us through to the end. I could go on and give examples of how we don't trust God, but let me bring it down to this. We need to really learn to trust God. We need to really learn to surrender to God, and when we fully trust God, we enter into His rest. There's a song that I love that we used to grow up singing in high school. It says, there are things that I love and hold dear to my heart. They're just borrowed, they're not mine at all. Jesus only let me use them to brighten my life. So remind me, dear Lord. Then it says, draw back the curtains of memory now and then. Show me where you brought me from and where I could have been. Then it says, Lord, remember I'm human and humans forget. So remind me, remind me, dear Lord. And I pray that, and I hope, it is my hope and my prayer for all of us that this becomes our song each and every day, to say, Lord, draw back the curtains, remind me how far you've led me, remind me, don't let me forget that it's not by my might nor my power that I've ended up here. Remind me, God, how far you've brought me, and teach me to completely and wholeheartedly trust in you. And then as a final quote, I'm just going to leave you with this quote from Ellen G. White, which says, we have nothing to fear for the future, except as we shall forget the way the Lord has led us and his teaching in our past history. If this message touched you in any way, please share with your people. Please like, please comment. Let's encourage each other in the comment section for a change. Let's not talk about me or how great it was. Let's just leave a word of encouragement in the comment section for someone who's going through something, someone who needs that reassurance that God is with them, that God is in control. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.